Marvel Rivals is not a game that I had on my to-do list, and it took me a bit of a while to obtain a key to gain access to the playtest. Also, I might have been slightly distracted with the Olympics, so sorry this video is a bit late. But many people who watched my Concord Impressions video, which I will link below, did suggest that Marvel Rivals is the far superior game with better mechanics, iconic characters, and some fun gameplay. So, you've heard other people talk about the game and maybe you have your own thoughts. Now it's time I share mine. Playing Marvel Rivals directly after leaving Concord behind was an incredibly eye-opening experience because there were so many very direct and identifiable issues in Concord, which I personally feel Marvel Rivals, on the other hand, seems to have a better handle on how best to execute the hero shooter format. First and foremost, as this was a playtest, I was prepared for a few bugs and glitches, but I actually had a very smooth time. The closest server near me was in Tokyo, so playing from Australia meant that I did have a bit of latency, but honestly it was never really that noticeable for me and I didn't feel too negatively impacted. My game never crashed, everything ran fairly smoothly, and maybe the worst I could say is characters like Spider-Man and Venom darting across my screen were sometimes teleporting a little and it made them a bit trickier to hit than normal, but honestly, nothing too noteworthy to complain about. I had a fairly smooth experience and I felt I could enjoy the most out of the playtest. We didn't get a whole lot of modes and maps in this playtest, but what we did get all played extremely well, albeit familiar. There was the classic escorting the payload, the round-based King of the Hill matches, which I all thought played really well. In each game, I found my team, for the most part, working together to take objectives. We didn't try and solo our way into fights, staggering respawns. There was a clear understanding of using the abilities together and firing off combos, which could help sway the battle to our favor if we did it successfully. I mostly played the casual game modes just because I was struggling with the queue times for competitive matches and I got into the playtest quite late. But even with the quick matches, I felt it worked far better than what we got in Concord. In fact, it really did remind me of Overwatch 1, and I don't think the developers shy away from this being their inspiration. One draw card Marvel Rivals has over the competition are the heroes themselves. I personally am not into the hero shooter genre, really, and I'm also not really that much into superheroes, but I will say that because I recognized a lot of these characters, their iconic moves, the abilities, the costumes, I felt I had some sort of better connection to this game as opposed to the generic person with a gun and a funky costume from other games. A lot of your favorite characters like Spider-Man, Iron Man, the Hulk, and many more are all available in this roster, and I'm sure there'll be more characters to come. The thing with hero shooters is you really need to have a roster of characters with not just good gameplay mechanics, but a strong character design, a voice actor, traits that help you give that flair to not just enjoy using their weapons, but even embody some of their attributes. For example, whilst I couldn't tell you about any of the characters in Concord or those operators from Battlefield 2042, I can still quite clearly recall and tell you about the characters from Team Fortress 2, Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege. So the iconic Marvel heroes really help boost this game's playability and helps draw people in who might not initially be interested in the hero shooter genre, but just love Marvel superheroes. I want to really dial in on the characters and the way they interact, because of course combining abilities from different heroes is the key to winning fights in the classic hero shooter, but Marvel Rivals takes it a step further with the team up abilities. If specific characters are on the same team, they unlock either a passive or active ability that they otherwise wouldn't have had. I loved this feature. because not only am I making a pick in my hero selection based on if we need more of a support type hero or a damage dealer, but I can consider if there is an option to use the team up abilities. These make a significant difference, and that benefit is very clearly communicated to the player. For example, I really did not enjoy playing Magneto. I found his attacks a little slow for my liking, and I'm not really a huge fan of these characters with shields. However, if there was a Scarlet Witch on the team, Magneto could use a giant sword attack with a huge energy wave dealing some decent damage. Without Scarlet Witch, this move is not possible, so you are really incentivized to consider your picks carefully as they make a monumental difference. Whenever I did have a Scarlet Witch with me, I really enjoyed playing as Magneto. He was actually one of my favorite characters, but without that team up ability, I really found my gameplay experience to be not as satisfying. The heroes themselves felt for the most part really good. Some were a bit more janky, but everybody had their own unique feel and required a drastically different playstyle to help the team succeed. As you can see in this gameplay, I really engaged with the Call of Duty part of my brain. I played a lot of Punisher and Rocket Raccoon. I will say Punisher has maybe the worst grapple hook from any game in recent memory. Maybe I'm just bad, but I felt sometimes the result of my grapple was a little unpredictable, especially the way it shot you up in the air. So you kind of had to aim below where you wanted to grapple to, but then you got stuck on ledges, and if you aim higher, then you just repelled up into the roof. It was just a bit confusing. I really struggled with the grapple hook. But besides that, I really felt this game encouraged me to get really good with 2 or 3 heroes. And for me, that's a sign of a good hero shooter. I personally prefer taking the time to master and perfect the intricacies of the 2 or 3 heroes I want to specialize, instead of having to be average at the entire roster, which is sort of what Concord does with its competitive modes. The other thing that I complained about extensively in Concord was that it did a horrible job explaining different aspects of this game. It took either a Reddit forum or some of the lovely people who watched my video in the comments section to explain some of these mechanics. Really, the game should be able to do it itself. As a player who is pretty casual in this kind of shooter, I really appreciated how there were plenty of menus, videos, tips, and even combo suggestions to help me understand how best to use each mechanic in this game. By the time I got in the game, I felt I already had some sort of idea as to what I was supposed to be doing, and after a bit of practice, it was really satisfying when you time that ultimate to perfection and even come up with a combo of your own. My only suggestion would be that maybe there is too long of a pause at the start of each video in this menu. I would cut the pause out if possible, just so I can get straight into the meat and potatoes of each ability faster. I mentioned that it was interesting to play Marvel Rivals directly after Concord, because there were so many direct criticisms from Concord for which Marvel Rivals appears to have the answers to. But the biggest problem was Concord trying to be this quasi-Destiny, Overwatch, X-Defiant hybrid, and none of it really seemed to gel together because the game wasn't encouraging smart, tactical team play. Here, Marvel Rivals does a really good job of not repeating this mistake. It has game modes which directly correlate with the character's abilities. The team up abilities are a really good addition which helps players think about their decisions and choices both before and during the match. And it also explains everything with direct clarity, so you never feel lost or confused. I think it is too early to tell how well Marvel Rivals will do, but I think it has somewhat of a reasonable chance thanks to some decent gameplay design as well as some iconic characters. Is it new and fresh? No. Does it remind me a lot of Overwatch 1? Yes. Does it do a good enough job of emulating Overwatch so that players from Overwatch 2 or Destiny or X-Defiant, or dare I say Concord, might even come over and give it a go? That I think it might be too early to tell. But all I can say is what I got to play in the playtest was enjoyable. And I think there is a good foundation here to build upon before its release. As of writing, the game does not have a release date. I would expect probably sometime in 2025. So that's plenty of time for developer and publisher NetEase Games to make improvements, add content, and get this hype train going. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like and comment below to let me know your thoughts. Are you interested in getting Marvel Rivals? Did you get into the playtest? Did you watch your favorite streamers play it? What do you think of the game? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Also, thanks to everybody who's been commenting on my videos. I really do try and read all the comments, not just to hear your thoughts, but I also love getting that feedback from you guys. It helps me make better content for you. So I really do appreciate that. Please keep that coming through. I've got more videos like this on my channel, so please go through and check them out and consider subscribing so you don't miss my next video. Lancy out.